Guys, how you doing? This is Simone, the student teacher. Listen, I want to invite you guys to the next writing challenge I'm about to do. I haven't done it in 2 years, and now it's time for me to bring it back. I'm a person who I use writing. God allowed writing to be a way for me to release my stories, to release what I had experienced, and I also found comfort and I found peace in sharing my story. This is what I know about your story. 3 things will happen. 1, you will never tell it. 2, somebody else will tell it, but you know they'll never be able to tell it like you can tell it. Or 3, you tell your own story. And so I'm inviting you to the 5-day writing challenge. There's 3 options to be a part of. You can join the free challenge, which you will be able to join all 5 days. Then there is a upgraded challenge where you will be able to come in a little more, ask questions before the event starts, and then we come into the challenge, and then you can get the VIP where you have access to me hour before and an hour after, so we can kind of ask the question that you need beforehand from anything the day before, and then we can follow up and go a little deeper after the challenge is over every day. And so I want to share with you some of the resources and the books that I've already written, because a lot of times, sometimes people may teach you something that they don't know, and I'm not a fake teacher. So this writing challenge is something that I put in practice for myself, and then I was able to go along and help some other people. And so my very first book I did, it actually stemmed from a conference call that I was praying for, and a Facebook Live, and these are my 2 books I did for the academic system. I am actually finishing up recording for professional development, and so that's why you see that behind me, which I love it. But this is my first book, Standing on His Words, and this was the action guide. It's prayers and devotions for the academic system. So if you're a teacher, y'all know I love all things education. And then I went on to publish, it was a book called Free Yourself. I did a student teacher quotes. If you have some really good sayings that you want to put into a book, you can do that. That's Free Yourself again. Spiritual Combat was my second book. When I first started writing, I published 3 books in about 2 months. I was writing. So Spiritual Combat, these are some prayers and devotional. Then I do this is a poetry and a prose book. It's called My Heart Under a Microscope, and I kind of talked about like my relationships, and I was very open and transparent with that, and so that was like one that really came from the heart. And then I was a part of anthologies, and so if you know anything about anthology, is that you write a part of your story and you put it into a book with other authors who are doing the same thing. And so I was a part of that. My very first book, shout out to Dr. Sharon H. Porter. She's a principal here in Maryland, but she's also from North Carolina. This is my first book. It was called North Carolina Girls Living in the Maryland World. So all of us on the back, on the front, we from North Carolina, but we live in Maryland now. So that was an anthology that I did. Then I did Sister Leaders with Dr. Karen Hills Pruden, which is an amazing lady out of Virginia. Then I was able to become a co-author with Dr. Sherwood and Les Brown. It's called You Are Enough. And then I also was in another project with Dr. Karen Hills Pruden called God Confident. And so I was excited about that. And so then I decided, hey, I want to write my own anthology. So I had, my first one was called Unmasked to Heal, where I had 4 other ladies to join me in this anthology. Then the second one that I did was called Unmute Yourself. We did this during COVID. And then I had 8 other women to join me on this. And then the last book that I did in 2021 was called The Heart of a Leader. And I had 9 other women to join me on this. So these are my 3 anthology-led books. And then from that, I started helping other people publish their books. Now, I don't do book publishing anymore for individuals. I'm only doing anthologies right now because there's a lot of work. But these are the books that I was able to help other clients do. Redemption. Her name is Nikita Campbell. This is an amazing book. You can go to her website, get this. Then we had Tamika Williams. She did Gratefully Broken, and Nikita Campbell is the one who wrote this book, Redemption. It's a really good book. Then we had Gratefully Broken by Tamika. And then my first ever children's book was by a woman named Janelle Palmer, who I've grown to love. And it's 12 principles about a strong family. She is from Sierra Leone. And so this is my first children's book that I ever did. And I told her, I said, hey, I don't publish children's books. But she trusted me, and it turned out really, really well. So that's that. And then we had another children's book, Everybody Gets Nervous. She's an educator out of Pennsylvania. And then I had another children's book that I did. I don't have it with me, but it talks about Isis Span, and her daughter talks about cerebral palsy and all of the effects that it can have. And you can still have a child with quote unquote disabilities to have a thriving life. And so I want to invite you to be a part of this next writing challenge. You may not want to write 10 books, 15 books, 12 books, but you do have a story that you may want to get out, or you have a story that you want to get out. I invite you to do that. And one of the great things about this whole publishing journey, I got started because I met a lady who had lost her sight 10 years ago. And Miss Gracie said, the Lord said, you're supposed to help me write my book. And I said, Miss Gracie, I only help myself write my books. And that's how I got started. And so every book that I was able to publish, I now know how to publish it in Braille. And so my first anthology, we published it in Braille because of my experience with working with Miss Gracie, because she says the deaf and blind community are some of the computers that's underserved when it comes with books. So imagine writing your story and getting it into the hands of somebody who may not be able to see, but they can read your story by way of Braille, and brings them breakthrough and brings them great, just comfort and encouragement and hope. So listen, I want you to follow the link that's in this video underneath. Click the link, join the challenge. I look forward to seeing you and working with you, and I'll see you on the other side.